Good morning, ma'am, and good morning, classmates. Today, I am your reporter, Shaira May Evangelista, reporter for Chapter 11, Lessee Accounting. My topic is the other accounting issues. Before we start, let us first know the technical knowledge. Number 1 is to remeasure the lease liability in case of an extension option. Second is to measure the lease liability when lease contains variable payments. Third is to identify a lease modification that is accounted for separately. 4 is to know the recognition of a lease modification relating to extension of lease term, decrease in scope of lease, and change in rental payment. In other accounting issues related to lease, we have three main topics. First is extension option. Second is variable payments. Third is lease modification. But in this lease modification, there are 4 subtopics to be discussed. So these are the step-by-step remeasurement of a lease liability. Number 1 is multiply by present value of an ordinary annuity of 1 using the new implicit interest rate, the remaining lease term. Multiply by PV of an ordinary annuity of 1 using the new implicit rate, the new annual rental rate, then multiply the result by present value of 1 of new implicit interest rate at the remaining period of the lease on the date of extension. So this time, katong nisunod na amount sa extension, kung pila ang amount na madawat or the rental, ang imong i-multiply using the present value of interest of 1 using the new implicit interest rate. So anyway, magamit ra gyapon ni nato na step sa illustration sa sunod nga page. So number 3, add the result of step 1 and step 2 to arrive total present value of liability using the new implicit rate and deduct the outstanding present value of liability on a date of extension to arrive increase in lease liability. Then for number 4, remeasurement of lease liability, compute for the carrying amount of right of use asset on the date of extension, cost less accumulated depreciation, and the computed increase in liability on the date of extension to arrive the new carrying amount of right of use asset. IFRS 16 paragraph 39 provides that the measurement of the lease liability is an adjustment of the carrying amount of the right of use asset. So now we will be having an illustration so that we can understand this lesson very well. So a company entered into a lease of building on January 1, 2020 with the following information. Annual rental payable at the end of each year is 500,000. Lease term 5 years. Useful life of building 20 years. Implicit interest rate is 10%. Present value of an ordinary annuity of 1 at 10% for 5 periods is 3.791. So, ano yung significance niya? Kasi, i-compute muna natin. We will be making a table to update ang ating lease liability bago magkaroon ng extension. So, the lease contained an option for the lessee to extend for further 5 years. At the commencement date, the exercise of the extension option is not reasonably certain. So, the significance of why it is stated, because we will choose between the lease term and the useful life of the underlying asset. After 3 years on January 1, 2023, the lessee decided to extend the lease for further 5 years. Annual rental payable at the end of each year is 600,000. So, nag-iba na yung annual rental payable. Yeah. Then, implicit interest rate, 8% na lang. Present value of an ordinary annuity of 1 at 8% for 5 periods is 3.991. 993. Present value of 1 at 8% for 2 periods is 0.857. So, on January 1, 2023, the lease liability is remeasured using the new implicit interest rate of 8%. So, ang gagawin natin is i-update muna natin kung magkano ang carrying amount ng ating asset at the same time yung ating lease liability. So, based dito sa table, ang annual payment is 500,000. So, to compute the interest, 10% of our present value, 1,895,500. Then deduct it to payments. So whatever the difference between the payment and the interest will be our amortization to the present value or the lease liability. So by the end of December 31, 2020, the present value is 1,585,000 and 150. So now we will be having our journal entry. So sa January 1, 2020, right of use asset, debit 1,895,500, and then lease liability, credit 1,895,500. So kay paano mo disa na siya gikuha? So December 31, 2020, interest expense, debit 189,550, lease liability also debit 310,450, and then credit cash 500,000. So sa December 31, 2020, depreciation niya is debit 379,100, accumulated depreciation is 379,100. So giunsa ni siya pagkuha ning 379,100? Gikuha ni siya sa pamaagi nga gidivide ang present value katong 1,895,500 for 5 years, kay 5 years man ang iyahang period.